Hey, psychology is basically our attempt to understand why we think, feel, and act the way we do. And over time, people have come up with different lenses or schools of thought to explain it. Each one highlights a different side of human behavior. Let's walk through the major ones. Let's start with psychodynamic, aka Freud's legacy. Freud believed that a lot of what we do isn't under our conscious control. Instead, it's shaped by our unconscious mind and childhood experiences. He broke the mind into three parts: the id, our raw desires; the superego, our moral compass; and the ego, the negotiator in between. Imagine craving cake during a diet. The id screams, "Eat it now!" The superego whispers, "You shouldn't." The ego tries to compromise, maybe just a small slice. The truth is, Freud wasn't the only big name in the psych world. After him, a few other thinkers took his ideas and ran in their own directions. Adler thought people are mostly motivated by trying to overcome feelings of weakness and finding their place in society. He called it the inferiority complex. Basically, we're always striving to prove ourselves. For example, if you grab that slice of cake, Adler might say you're doing it to feel better about yourself or to show you belong with the group that's eating. Jung, on the other hand, believed there's this deeper layer of the mind called the collective unconscious. It's like a library of ancient symbols we all share. Things like the hero, the shadow, the wise old mentor. These hidden images show up in our dreams, myths, and even movies. So that slice of cake, Jung might say it's not just dessert. It could be your shadow side tempting you, or maybe a symbol of comfort you're secretly craving. Then there's Erikson, who focused on how we develop across our whole life, not just childhood. He broke life down into stages, like identity versus role confusion in your teen years, or intimacy versus isolation in young adulthood. Each stage is like a test we have to pass to grow. So with the cake example, Erikson would probably ask, depending on your life stage, is this about forming your identity, fitting in, or maybe showing self-control? So while Freud talked about unconscious drives and childhood, Adler zoomed in on social goals. Jung opened the door to shared symbols, and Erikson showed that growing up never really stops. It just changes shape. Now let's dive into behavioral psychology. This school of thought tells us to forget the unconscious. Just focus only on what we can actually see, like behavior. Think of Pavlov's dogs drooling at the sound of a bell, or Skinner's rats pressing levers for treats. The core idea? We learn through conditioning such as reinforcement, punishment, and association. If a kid gets candy every time they do their homework, they'll want to repeat it. If they get grounded, they'll avoid the behavior. Behavioral psychology is all about habits and patterns shaped by rewards and consequences. But it goes deeper than just carrots and sticks. Behavioral psychology reshaped how we understand learning and behavior change. It laid the groundwork for practical tools like behavior modification therapy, classroom management strategies, and even modern-day habit trackers. It highlights how much of what we call personality might really be a collection of learned responses to our environments. This perspective also sparks bigger questions. If our actions are shaped by reinforcement and punishment, how much free will do we actually have? Are we truly choosing, or are we simply responding to the invisible systems of rewards and consequences around us? Behavioral psychology reminds us that to change behavior, you don't always need to dig into someone's inner world. You might just need to change the environment they live in. About cognitive psychology, now imagine the brain as a kind of information processor. Cognitive psychology looks inside the black box that behaviorists ignored. It's about how we think, remember, learn language, and make decisions. For example, why do we sometimes remember song lyrics from childhood but forget where we left our keys 5 minutes ago? Or why do we make snap judgments that don't always line up with reality? Cognitive psychology studies these processes, and it's the foundation for things like memory research, decision-making studies, and even artificial intelligence models. With biological psychology, the focus shifts to the body itself. Biological psychology, or biopsychology, says our thoughts and emotions are rooted in brain chemistry, genetics, hormones, and the nervous system. That racing heartbeat before a big presentation? That's adrenaline talking, feeling good after exercise, thanks to dopamine and endorphins. This school reminds us that mental states aren't just in our heads. They're physical processes happening in real time inside our brains and bodies. Cross-cultural psychology. Have you ever noticed how people from different countries think and act in different ways? Cross-cultural psychology digs into that. For example, In more individualistic cultures, like the US, personal achievement is often celebrated. In collectivist cultures, like Japan, harmony in the group might matter more than standing out. These cultural patterns influence everything from how people communicate to how they raise kids to how they view success and failure. It shows that psychology isn't one size fits all. It's the context matters. The next school of thought is evolutionary psychology. This one takes us back millions of years. Evolutionary psychology asks, how did human behaviors and emotions evolve to help us survive and reproduce? For instance, why do we fear spiders and snakes more than cars, even though cars are statistically more dangerous? Because in prehistoric times, avoiding venomous creatures was a matter of survival. But today, most of us live in cities. The deadliest thing we'll meet is traffic. Yet people still scream at a tiny house spider. But why? Because evolution hard-coded that fear into us. It's like carrying around antivirus for Windows 95. It made sense back then, but now it feels a little outdated. That's what evolutionary psychology calls a mismatch between our old instincts and the modern world. Move to humanistic psychology. When Freud was all about unconscious conflict and behaviorists were about rats and rewards, the humanists came in with a more uplifting perspective. They believe people are inherently good and have the potential to grow. Think Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Everyone starts with food and safety at the base, moving up towards self-actualization, where you live your fullest life. Humanistic psychology emphasizes choice, free will, and personal meaning. It's the school that asks, how can we help people thrive, not just fix their problems? The last one is positive psychology. This is like humanistic psychology's modern cousin. Instead of only studying mental illness or what goes wrong, positive psychology zooms in on what makes life worth living. Gratitude, optimism, resilience, happiness. These are its keywords. Researchers look at how cultivating strengths, practicing mindfulness, or focusing on community can boost well-being. It's about building the good, not just reducing the bad. But positive psychology isn't just about smiling more or thinking happy thoughts. It digs into the science of flourishing, asking questions like, why do some people bounce back stronger after hardship? What habits sustain long-term happiness rather than fleeting pleasure? Instead of treating happiness as a vague feeling, it frames it as a set of skills and mindsets that can be learned, measured, and strengthened. It also challenges the assumption that success automatically brings happiness. Often it's the other way around. People who nurture gratitude, meaning, and strong relationships tend to achieve more and live healthier lives. Positive psychology reminds us that well-being isn't the absence of struggle. It's the presence of purpose, connection, and growth. In short, it's the study of how to craft a life that feels not only bearable, but deeply worthwhile. So what have we got? Freud's unconscious mind, behaviorists' conditioning, cognitive scientists' brain as a computer, biologists' brain chemistry, cultural influences, evolutionary instincts, humanists' growth mindset, and positive psychologists' focus on happiness. Each one offers a unique lens. None of them explains everything on its own, but together, they give us a richer understanding of why we humans do what we do. See ya!